So you're thinking about renting an apartment and you're not too sure exactly how to qualify. Let's talk about it. What's going on, good guys? Chris Newton here, Chris Newton Real Estate, ChrisNewtonRealEstate.com. Tell a friend, like, comment, subscribe. Take those fingers and smash that subscribe button. Take your thumb and smash that share button. Let people know this is where you gotta go. So, I like that. I don't know if I'm gonna remember to say that, but I do like it. So how do you become a renter? We're just gonna keep it New York at the moment. How do you become a renter? How do you rent an apartment in New York? What are the requirements? What are the qualifications? How do you maximize your chances of getting your application approved? Okay, so let's break this down. So we all know the problems that's going on in New York City. New York City is becoming very, very, very unaffordable. It's true. I know it's the land of opportunity, the Big Apple. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. I get it. However, it's very tough to survive here, which is why a lot of people are getting up and going. When COVID was going on, a lot of people said, you know what, I could work virtually. I'm going to Florida, I'm going to Texas, I'm going to Atlanta, and I'm just going to work on the computer, so on and so forth. I'm going to make New York money somewhere else where the cost of living isn't so high. I'm going to live like a king, queen, whichever. This was a lot of people's thought process, rightfully so. I totally agree with it. It makes sense. You're making this amount of money and you have to spend this amount of money to live. Great, because in New York, you're making this amount of money. You got to spend this amount of money to live. It's crazy. How do you maximize your chances of getting your application approved? This is what landlords are typically looking for. It might not go for all. However, this will bring your chances up. Will it guarantee it? No, but it will help your chances extremely high. Okay, so first off, how much should you make to qualify to rent the apartment? In New York, most landlords want you to make 40 times the rent. Yes, I said it, 40 times the rent. What? That's insane. Get it, I get it. And some people think because of the neighborhood that they shouldn't have to make 40 times the rent. I've actually heard some people say they want to make maybe 5 times the rent or something, which is, I don't understand it. 40 times the rent is very difficult, especially in New York, because yes, the cost of living is high. However, the jobs don't pay as much. That's why I said the cost of living is here, but the money that you're making is here. So you're making this amount of money, but so that's what it is. So a lot of people are struggling and living paycheck to paycheck, especially in New York. So we're renting 40 times the rent. What does that mean? Let's pull out our handy dandy notebook, right? Sorry. Okay, so the average rents in New York, let's say $2,500 is the average rent in New York. There's gonna be rent way cheaper. There's gonna be rents way more expensive. So let's just keep it. I know some people in Virginia and Florida, they're $2,500. Yes, you do have studios for $2,500 in New York. You do have 1 bedrooms for $2,500. However, you do have some 3 bedrooms, not a lot. You do have some 3 bedrooms in New York for $2,500. So we're just gonna average out the rent. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. You do have some studios that are, guess what? Over $5,000 a month. Yes, you do. So let's do $2,500. So $2,500, that's your monthly rent. Landlords wanna be able to see that you are bringing in a combined total. So it doesn't have to just be you. It does not have to just be you. So let's say we have a $2,500 2-bedroom. It's you, your significant other, and maybe a cousin, okay? They want 40 times combined for the year. At $2,500 a month, 40 times the rent is gonna be $100,000. So do you have to bring in $100,000? No. Do 2 people have to bring in $100,000? No, depending on the circumstance. All three of you can actually chip in. So one person can make 50, the other person can make 30, the other person can make 20. Combined, you guys bring in 100K. Great. Financially, you guys are set. We're good. Now, if you can make more than that, great. If you make less than that, not so great. I will get to that though. Now, credit. Landlords do want you guys to have good credit. Are they gonna say, well, you gotta have an 850? No. However, as close to an 850 as you can be, that'd be great. So now if you make 100K, but your credit score is 550, it's a no-brainer. More than likely, you're not going to get approved. Why? Because credit, especially your credit history, is a big indicator and a big storyteller as to if you pay your bills on time. So now once your credit gets ran and the landlord sees, okay, they have 5 delinquencies in the past couple of months for bills that's maybe $300, they don't pay their bills on time. Yes, you can have a story. We all have a story, right? So you can have a story and a legitimate reason as to why you've been late. However, it does not look good. It doesn't. So now you got somebody that makes 100K with 560, and then you got somebody that's 100K at 782. Who do you think is going to be the better choice on paper? You can actually be the better tenant. That's a fact. You might take better care of the apartment. You might actually be more financially responsible if things work out in your favor. They can be a crappy tenant. On paper though, they look better, so they will get approved more likely than you will. Now, your credit could be bad because of student loans. Some landlords say, okay, you know what, I understand. Everything else is good. Their Macy's bill, their Capital One bill, their Chase, their car note, whatever, everything is green. It's just a student loan. So now I kind of understand. So now we have a case there. You still want to be as close to 850 as possible. The closer you are to that number, the more likely you are to get approved. What else do we need? We need 3 months bank statement. Okay, block out your account number. Always block out your account number. Also, you don't need to show everything that you've done. Landlords typically want to see the last page because they want to know that you carry a balance and that you're good with paying the bill. So if something happens, you lose your job or whatever's going on, you're an entrepreneur, but business gets slow, they know that you have a cushion and that you will be okay. So 3 months bank statements with a good balance, not a couple hundred, but you have a good balance of whatever the amount is. Let's say it's in the 5 figures and it's been steady that way for the past 3 months, you're good. Your last 3 pay stubs, last 2 years W-2, so almost like you're getting qualified for a mortgage. But your last 2 years of your W-2s, last 2 years of your tax returns, again, block out all sensitive information. Landlords are going to look at all of this, and the better these numbers look, the better qualified you will seem, again, on paper. On paper. Now, what I like to do when I'm representing a renter and I'm putting an application together, especially if I'm giving it directly to the landlord, I write a love letter. I'll give them a background of what the renters do or who the renters are, humanize them so they don't just look like numbers on a paper. That can actually even help your case. Won't guarantee it. This will actually help your case if your credit isn't the best. Now, last thing I want to say, because this video is a little long. Let's say you don't make 40 times the rent. You make 35. Some landlords will be okay with 35 times the rent. Some, not a lot. Some landlords will be okay with 35 times the rent. So again, if we're at 2,500, I'm looking at my computer, I'm sorry guys. So 2,500 times 35. So now this makes it a little bit more manageable. That's $87,500 a year combined. So now, if you have stellar credit, you don't have a ton of debt, and you have good amounts of money within your bank statement, landlords will take this into consideration and say, you know what, we may can be able to do something with it. It's not likely. However, if all of these other things are check, the landlords may say, we can work something with this. Now, let's say you need a guarantor. Guarantors need to have great credit along with 80 times the rent. They have to make 80 times the rent. So at 2,500, guarantors have to make $200,000. Now, will some landlords take multiple guarantors? Yes. However, most won't, because that means that they will have to go after multiple people for the money. So yes, multiple people are going to be responsible outside of yourself for paying that rent if in the event you slack off. However, it's going to be too much of a hassle. So if a landlord sees 3-4 guarantors, they're not going to like it. It's a red flag. This is what happens with guarantors. If you can't find a guarantor, there are companies such as Rhino. There's another company, I believe it's Insurance, if I'm not mistaken. There are companies, you can Google them. There are companies that will guarantor or guarantee the apartment. Cost some money, it's not free. There are some companies that will guarantee the apartment for you. So, in conclusion, 40 times the rent, great credit, pay stubs, W-2s, tax returns, obviously your ID, and good bank statements. You should be fine. You get all of that. Make sure it's prettied up. Don't take pictures of your W-2s. If you can, send a PDF file. It's way more professional. It's a lot easier to manage and maintain. If you can't get a PDF file or download it, take it, copy it, and then send it that way, okay? Presentation means a lot. Chris Newton here, ChrisNewtonRealEstate.com. Like, comment, subscribe. Later.